Argentina's peso has fallen to an all-time low against the US dollar and has now collapsed by 99.8% since 2009. And now the Trump administration wants to provide a financial lifeline worth $20 billion to the far-right government of Javier Milei, who faces important elections this weekend. What's in it for America, and is the Argentinian economy worth bailing out? Jon Farmer is editor-in-chief of LatinNews and is on the line. Good morning, John.
Morning, Joe.
What sort of shape is the Argentinian economy in?
Credit where credit's due. President Milei has reined in inflation, and that's no small feat. I mean, the monthly rate's now about 2%, so high by international standards, but very low by Argentina's standards. He's also met his big sort of zero deficit target that he set, but taking his sort of chainsaw to public spending has hit growth. International reserves are low; they're only about sort of $40 million, and his government's been burning through these to prop up the peso. So the peso took a battering after the Peronists. That's the main national opposition in Argentina won a big victory in legislative elections in Buenos Aires province last month. So it was soon after this that the Trump administration sort of stepped up with the $20 billion financial lifeline that you mentioned, Joe. And it did calm the markets for a bit, but they're looking rattled again now, in part because it's just not clear that the US will stick around if this Sunday's midterm congressional elections don't go to plan for Milei. So Trump, he heaped praise on Milei when they met at the White House last week, and Milei's a close ideological ally. But, Trump loves a winner, and he said quite openly, if Milei wins, we're staying with him, and if he doesn't win, we're gone. And investors were a bit, they're a bit shaken by this. They're concerned that the Peronists, who they see as this sort of profligate and corrupt and responsible for Argentina having been a serial defaulter over the years, investors are worried that they'll win again in the midterm. So these elections are massive. If Milei doesn't win seats, and there are signs that public impatience is growing with his government, he'll be in for a really rough ride in Congress, and pressure on the peso will be intense.
Yeah, ordinary Argentinians were sick of the status quo when they elected Milei 2 years ago. We'll soon find out whether they're tired of him this coming weekend. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, a bunch of major Wall Street banks, including JP Morgan, are struggling to put together this $20 billion loan facility because they don't want to be left holding the can if and when Argentina doesn't pay it back.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's a huge risk that America's taking. As I say, Argentina, a serial defaulter over the years. There's absolutely no guarantee that Milei's going to win these midterms. I mean, I would expect that the Peronist opposition, that they're up in the polls. I think they're going to win more seats. But Milei's party, in fairness, is very poorly represented in Congress as things stand. So it should still pick up seats. But how many seats is that's the real key, because right now, the opposition in Congress is really bossing proceedings. It's overridden 3 presidential vetoes of initiatives that would have ramped up public spending in recent weeks. You've got to go right back to 2003 before the last presidential veto was overturned in Argentina. And that needs a 2/3 majority in both houses of Congress. So the bare minimum Milei needs is he's got to get a third of the seats in the lower house.
How important is the Mercosur trade deal between the EU and many South American nations for countries like Argentina?
Milei has been scathing of Mercosur. He's called it an iron curtain that member states have to submit to. He's attached far more significance to trying to get a trade deal with the US. But Mercosur is more important for Argentina. There's no question about that. Brazil is right next door, obviously, and it's Argentina's main trade partner, both for exports and imports.
Yeah, and Trump also says that America wants to buy Argentinian beef. I assume it's cheaper than local beef in America.
Well, yes, it would be, yeah. So I imagine that being the trade man that he is, that would very much appeal to him.
Yeah, indeed. And it would probably be dreadful for local farmers in the US. Jon, thanks very much for joining us. That is Jon Farmer, the editor-in-chief of Latin News.